Justin Trudeau has faced criticism for his lavish personal spending as Prime Minister, particularly in relation to travel expenses, vacations, and accommodations funded by taxpayers. These controversies have often led to public outcry, especially when Canadians were facing economic challenges. Aga Khan Vacation 2016, over $200,000 in taxpayer dollars. Trudeau and his family spent their 2016 Christmas vacation on the private island of the Aga Khan, a billionaire philanthropist and religious leader. The trip included expenses for security and transportation, including the use of a government helicopter. The trip resulted in an investigation by the Federal Ethics Commissioner, who found Trudeau had violated conflict of interest laws. It was revealed that the Aga Khan's foundation was a registered lobbyist receiving government funding. The Ethics Commissioner ruled that Trudeau had improperly accepted a gift from someone with official dealings with his government. Canadians criticized Trudeau for taking a luxury vacation by taxpayers while in a position of power, especially given the conflict of interest issues surrounding the trip. It's estimated to be over $1.5 million. Trudeau's 2018 trip to India sparked widespread criticism, not just for its cost, but for the controversies surrounding his choice of attire and the invitation of a convicted terrorist to official events. The trip was initially intended as a diplomatic mission, but it was overshadowed by Trudeau and his family wearing traditional Indian clothing at numerous events, which many perceived as unnecessary and culturally insensitive. The cost of the trip, combined with the PR missteps, made it a point of ridicule in both Canada and India. Trudeau's handling of the trip was criticized as wasteful, with some pointing out that the trip failed to achieve any significant diplomatic or economic outcomes. The trip was widely seen as a failure, with critics questioning whether the taxpayer funds spent on the extravagant travel and the ceremonial aspects of the visit were justified. Tofino Vacation on National Day for Truth and Reconciliation 2021. The full cost of the trip was not immediately disclosed, but included transportation on a government jet and security expenses. On Canada's inaugural National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, which was established to honor the legacy of Indigenous children who died in residential schools, Trudeau opted to take a family vacation in Tofino, British Columbia. He had been invited to attend various Indigenous events, but instead chose to spend the day on the beach. This decision was widely criticized as tone-deaf, given the significance of the day and Trudeau's emphasis on reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. The use of a government jet to fly to a personal vacation destination, combined with the optics of vacationing on such an important day, fueled public anger. Indigenous leaders, activists, and many Canadians expressed outrage at Trudeau's actions, seeing it as a disregard for the meaning of the day and a waste of taxpayer money on personal leisure. Frequent use of government jets for personal travel and the costs associated with the use of government jets for personal or non-official travel can amount to tens of thousands of dollars per trip, as it includes fuel, staffing, and security. Trudeau has faced criticism for the frequent use of official government jets for personal travel. For example, he used a government jet to attend a family vacation in Costa Rica in 2019. In other instances, there have been reports of Trudeau using government planes for travel that critics argue could have been done more cost-effectively or via commercial flights. The use of these jets for personal reasons, especially when billed to taxpayers, has been a point of contention, particularly given Trudeau's public stance on climate change and the need to reduce carbon emissions. Critics argue that Trudeau's use of jets for personal vacations conflicts with his climate policies, which emphasize the reduction of carbon footprints. The associated costs are seen as an unnecessary burden on taxpayers. The G7 summit spending in 2018 cost over $600 million for hosting the summit. While it is expected that hosting international events comes with significant costs, critics argued that some of the spending was excessive. The event included security costs, lavish accommodations, and other high-ticket expenses. Hosting the G7 summit was seen as necessary for diplomatic reasons, but the high costs of the event were seen as wasteful, especially when there were no major diplomatic breakthroughs. Critics questioned whether the money could have been better spent on domestic priorities. The high cost of hosting international events, including lavish spending on accommodations and logistics, fueled the narrative that Trudeau's government was too quick to spend taxpayer money on high-profile but low-impact events. Justin Trudeau has faced significant criticism for his personal spending habits, which are often seen as extravagant and out of touch with the average Canadian's experience. The costs associated with his vacations, travel, and accommodations have repeatedly drawn negative attention, particularly when taxpayer dollars were used. These spending controversies have contributed to a perception among some Canadians that Trudeau is disconnected from the financial challenges faced by the public, especially during times of economic uncertainty. He is simply not the leader Canadians